Hey guys, it's me, Tiana Jones, also known as Callie Faye, and we're back with the Global Peace Sustainable Development Goal, Day 16. We're so happy because we're celebrating peace, justice, and strong institutions with nations all over the world. Please welcome our first international guest speaker, Professor Nada Rakovic. Welcome.
Thank you. Greetings from Croatia. Really honored and grateful to be here at the SDG 16. I want to say something from last year. Last year we have also an amazing summit, and that summit was also correlated with the books. So it's called "All Lives Do Exist: Global Peace Passover Summit." And we talk about the planet, we talk about the book, we celebrate Earth Day, we celebrate World Book Days that day. So there were so many things that we were celebrating. And we talk about the living. We said that our God created humanity in the image of God, and we call them always our partner whenever we do anything. So today, we are talking about the partnership, and partnership requires trust, as in our work, also in our faith. So, our God gave us humanity for the freedom. He is making the choices. So, it is really sadly that first humans made a choice to trust their own wisdom of the God. So what it means for us today, sustainable living. We need to volunteer our time. We need to volunteer money, our energy. We need to help others. We need to make this world better because it needs to be better. And we are doing that. What research, what studies show? Studies show that we are doing this, we are acting, and we are giving this to our community. We want the happiness, we want the health, we want well being. So, how will we do that? I'm really happy that we have so many students. So, first thing is that we need to help other to feel good. If I don't do something today good, I really don't feel good. That is always my motto. Even I see that there are so many people who don't respect that. Before a few days, the person thinks somebody thinks that he's really a role model, but I think that role model first is a person who is a human being by the heart. That is a role model. You can be an expert in your work, but if you don't have a heart for somebody, if you can't listen somebody, you are not always the person who is thinking that everything you think the best and you are the smart in that. We need to think about that. So we need to suggest help to others. We need to promote, like our great Tiana. She has so many trainings she makes for the well-being, for mental health, like a psychologist. So we need to change our brain if we want to be happy and bring people the happiness. That is very important. That we are then we can talk about a strong partnerships. Also, there are some things that are creating the sense of belonging. What it means, helping others can help us to make new friends. You see here so many new friends we have every day, and these great people, Dr. Richa, all from Georgia, uh, Madame from USA. So that is we are richer every day. So that is the money is not only the thing, making strong partnerships. So we are connecting with the community. We are making this activities. Yes, we are online, but we are face to face. So that is the same things with the voluntary. So we need to give a sense of purpose. Almost research studies show that volunteering needs to be done, and that is by the individual. We need to help each other. Giving help we are stronger, and we are keeping our things in the main perspective. What it means, if somebody is less fortunate than yourself, you need to help, to put things to help that person, to make feel, to be positive. And because there are so many different circumstances making that person unhappy. Our Esther didn't join yet, but before a few days there was a session, and Esther was with the students, and I asked her, because our Esther also is doing so many coach sessions with for the well-being, for the positive mindset. I asked her, Esther, what do you think about that? Is it really hard to a person to say, I'm sorry, or a word, I apologize? I don't know why some people cannot say that. Even they know that they are not right in that moment. I always say, even sometimes I didn't do nothing. I apologize. I say I'm so sorry. Sometimes maybe I say some words that I think that it is not a good word, but I always say I'm sorry, and I really accept from people to say to me I'm sorry. So there's so many studies that are showing us that people are most likely to hit us. So that is our effect. I don't know why that is. So helping others can help you also to live longer. That is very important for the partnership. We doing this volunteering. We can improve our ability to manage the stress, and that is good. We can manage the stress. We because it is giving us a kind of sense of renewal. We are boosting ourselves. So you will create stronger friendships. That is important for the partnership. And this 17 SDGs, all from the one from no poverty, zero hunger, good health, well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water sanitation, affordable clean energy, decent work, all industry innovation, reduce inequalities, all are they thinking about this? How can we organize our lives? How can we organize our work? And it really needs to be included in our education system. So we come again to the question, how did life begin? Always think about that. That question is one of the question of the science. So there are so many theories existing about the science are saying different things, and still cannot get a good answer. So that is a topic for debate. Today we are here. Today we will talk about that. We will listen our students. So we will see what our students are suggesting, because we all want a future. We all want a future, a beautiful, sustainable future together. So we need to create that. We need to create that community, and we need to become our best self. So they and if we don't think about that, please let us all think about this. Discover new ways to live, inspiring life through natural beauty, through nutrition, through diet, through active lifestyle, through better relationships. So I want to stop here. This is my opinion for this SDG today. Let us make strong relationships. Let us make trusty relationships, and let us respect each other. Because today, if we don't respect each other, I'm sure that we will not help each other. And we are here like friends, like a family, and I'm sure that we will continue doing our best. Thank you.
Thank you for your passion. And we need to have compassion for other people, because that's what makes us great leaders, is being able to listen to them and understand where they're coming from. Thank you so much, Professor Nada.
Thank you.
Our next international speaker is Ambassador Esthera Mala. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Diana. Welcome, Honorable Dr. Diana Jones, distinguished guest speakers, participants, and dear audience to Global Peace and Sustainable Development Goals 16. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. May I share my screen, please?
Yes, ma'am. It's all set.
Yes, thanks. Okay. Yes, this is me, myself. Okay. Peace, justice, and strong institution. This is all what the global citizens are looking forward every day. As we know, the whole world is in a mess economically, war there and here, natural disasters, and many more. Okay, and of course, when we talk about peace, justice, and strong institution, it is founded on law. Peace and justice are two sides of the same coin. This is what Dwight Eisenhower says. Interpretation of Goal 16. Goal 16 is concerned with promoting peaceful and inclusive societies, ensuring equal access to justice, and creating effective, responsible, and inclusive institutions at all levels. People everywhere, regardless of color, faith, or sexual orientation, should be free of fear of all sorts of violence and feel comfortable going about their daily life. Also, armed disputes and unrest create a negative impact on a country's growth. Sexual assault, other forms of crime, exploitation, and sufferings are common in areas where there is war or where there is no law. Okay, 16. The first one is about significantly reduce all forms of violence and related to death rates everywhere. 2, and abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and all forms of violence against torture of children. Promote the rule of law at national and international level and ensure equal access to justice for all. Goal 16.4 is by 2030, significantly reduce illicit financial and armed flows, strengthen and recovery and return to stolen assets, and combat all forms of organized crime. 16.5, substantially reduce corruption and bribery in all their forms. 16.6 will be develop effective, accountable, and transparent institution at all levels. 16.7 will be ensure responsive, inclusive, participatory, and representative decision-making at all levels. 16.8, broaden and strengthen the participation of developed countries in the institution of global governance. Goal 69, by 2030, provide legal identity for all, including birth registration. There are many countries, they don't even have personal identification. They don't have children's birth identification and all this. I think it is something which is quite serious because, and then for census and all that, you can't track, the population in case anything happen, like a need for vaccination or any natural disasters and all. So this kind of information is very crucial. 16.10, ensure public access to information and protect fundamental freedoms in accordance with national legislation and international agreements. Goal 16A, strengthen relevant national, institution, including through international cooperation for building capacity at all levels, in particular in developing countries, to prevent violence and combat terrorism and crime. Goal 16B, promote and enforce non-discriminatory laws and policies for sustainable development. Yeah, these are the goals. This is a summary of the goal just now, which I discussed. Reduce violence everywhere. This is what we want. Protect children from abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and violence. Of course, if exploitation is mainly on child labor, abuse, children are also abused sexually, emotionally, and in many other forms. Promote the rule of law and ensure equal access to justice. Combat organized, like equal access to justice, even in the area of wages, like inequalities in salaries between male and female, which is still very rampant. Combat organized crime and illicit financial arms flow. Just I mentioned, substantially reduce corruption and bribery, develop effective and accountable and transparent institutions, ensure responsive, inclusive, and representative decision-making, strengthen the participation in global governance, provide universal legal identity. Why is it important to have peace and justice strong institution? We needed to implement lasting solution to reduce violence, combat corruption, deliver justice, and ensure inclusive participation at all times. Freedom to express views in public and in private must be guaranteed. People must be able to contribute to decisions that affect their lives. Laws and policies must be applied without any forms of discrimination. Disputes need to be resolved through functioning political and justice system. What are the problems faced by the peace and justice strong institutions? The common problems for country faces is reliable data, making it difficult to measure progress in meeting the goals target. Fragile and conflicted states often have incomplete, imperfect, or a total lack of data. The challenges found within fragile states are rapid. Unregulated urbanization, high level of inequality, unemployment, and violence, thus poor access to key services and exposure to climate threats. What are some examples of justice and strong institutions? Those institutions which provide property rights, honest government, political stability, dependable legal system, and competitive and open market are called peace and justice institutions. Some examples of these are family, economy, religion, education, government, or state. Like in India, we have All India Peace and Solidarity Organization, which is organized for peace of India. In Malaysia, we do have organization related to peace, to maintain peace and sensitive issues for the peace of the country. How to achieve goal 16, significantly reduce all forms of violence and related death rates everywhere, and end abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and all forms of violence against torture of children. So this is more to promote rule of law, national and international level, promoting human rights, reducing flow of illicit arms, which I've mentioned, corruption, stereotypes, inequality, competitive nature, short-temperedness of people, because due to high stress, even climate change affects the human beings, the way they think, the way they behave. So all this has affected human beings highly, and this is the reason we can see everywhere there's unrest and people are reacting very insanely. Yeah, if you see very you've been hearing all kinds of funny news which never happened before. So every country has to work harder to reduce crime and this sort of issues. Yeah, to bring about a solution, we need equal participation. It is not a responsibility of an individual. Everybody should contribute to achieve it. There are different things in which we can act to promote peace, justice, and strong institution. Everyone should have the realization that it is my obligation to stand against injustice. Yeah, that's what we need to build. But as you know, a lot of people, they are not bothered about others suffering. They only care about them. We have to accept, we are not talking negative about people. You can compare your parents, your grandparents, how was their behavior? And you can compare with the behavior of the people here nowadays. Let it be young or people who are old, you know, they are very self-centered, very selfish. Yeah, very few people do really care for everyone. There are people, but yes, if you compare to before, now very less. So we have to work towards changing the mindset and creating awareness about all these bad incidents happening around the world, and the awareness that we all need to work together to curb all these issues. Compassion and a strong moral compass are essential to every democratic society, yet prosecution, injustice, and abuse still run rampant and is tearing at a very fabric of civilization. We must ensure that we have strong institutions, global standards of justice, and a commitment to peace everywhere. The more advanced we become, the more problem we are facing. We have to know, we have to accept this fact. So as we become more and more advanced, more and more knowledgeable, we have to give equal attention to all the issues around us, starting from family. Yeah, family. If you compare to the students, even primary students are so violent. Yeah, we have cases, a lot of bully cases in school. So all this, we need to, every one of us need to take initiative. If we have children, we have to nurture them. We have to discipline them. Yeah, discipline them and teach them how to behave at home as well as outside, how to respect their teachers, their friends, so that they won't create problem, and how to problem solve. If they have problems in school with their peers, how to solve the problem, how to settle misunderstandings. We got to teach, you see, because parents nowadays, they have no time to sit down and talk. Yeah, when they sit together with the family, everybody is holding a handphone. So I think our parents got to change their attitude. Many of us have to change. Otherwise, we are going to suffer end of the day. Yeah, because when our children suffer, because of them, we are going to suffer too. Then our community will suffer, our nation will suffer, then the world will suffer. So we got to take serious attention, pay serious attention to these issues. Peace, although some countries reported positive progress for reaching higher levels of peace societies, the world at large is experiencing a negative trend with further tension and societal insecurities, I just mentioned, as well as escalating conflicts with an ever-expanding refugee crisis. As a result, some of the global indication relating to the peace. Yes, war is another issue, and because of war, millions of lives ruined, not only at the spot, at the country where the war is happening, throughout the world, the impact has affected every one of us, even emotionally, economically, and many more. Yeah, I will end with this. Research questions. These are few questions which you can research on to know more about this SDG 16. Why social and moral intolerance is prevalent in our society today. Every one of us have to work on this. How can a person change his or her beliefs on a certain confusion to a specific issue happening on his or her country and nation? How the community, law enforcing leaders, and government officials can implement peace talk in a more democratic and compassionate approach, especially to the youth and community. Thank you for your kind attention, dear all.
Thank you. And that's great advice for the youth and other people here listening. We need someone to stand up and say, hey, it's all up to us and we need to circulate that information for accountability. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome.
Our next international speaker is Ambassador Dr. Piyush Raja. Welcome. And your screen is being shared.
Hello,
Hello.
am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Namaste to all from India. Myself is Piyush, and let me share the screen.
It's being shared.
Today I am going to present the paper which title is SDG Goal 16 Promoting Peaceful Justice and Inclusive Societies. As we know, peace is one and only option to being happy, and humanity is one and only religion in the world, as my point of view. So I am coming to my paper and presentation. These are the outline of my paper: abstract, introduction, the significance of SDG 16, progress and challenges, India's stance on SDG 16, strategies for advancing SDG 16, partnership and implementation, monitoring and evaluation, conclusion, and last one is references. So first of all, I would like to discuss about abstract of my paper. This research paper explores Sustainable Development Goal 16, which aims to promote peaceful, justice, and inclusive societies. SDG 16 recognizes the importance of strong institution, access to justice, and the rule of law in achieving sustainable development. The paper discusses the key targets and indicators of SDG 16, analyzes progress made towards its implementation, identifies challenges and opportunities, and proposes strategies for advancing this goal.
I know this affecting more.
Hello?
There's a little interruption that is within the Zoom. We will correct it. We will correct it. So everyone, please just mute your mic. So
I
we can figure out.
I muted them.
Yes, I see that. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes.
You
Yes.
can continue.
Okay. Thank you. Introduction part of my paper: Sustainable Development Goal 16 is a critical component of the 2030 agenda for the sustainable development adopted by UN, with the overreaching aim of promoting a peaceful, justice, and inclusive societies. SDG 16 recognizes that sustainable development cannot be achieved without the addressing issues of governance, justice, and the rule of law. It serves a vital catalyst for progress across all the sustainable development goals by providing the necessary foundation of the social, economic, and environmental advancement. It is as its core, SDG 16 seeks to build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions, ensure access to justice, and promote the rule of law. By doing so, it addresses the fundamental challenges faced by societies worldwide, including violence, corruption, inequality, and exclusion. Achieving SDG 16 is crucial for fostering peaceful coexistence, reducing conflicts, and creating an environment that enables individuals to live the fulfilling lives. This research paper um, uh, uh, aims to various aspects of SDG 16 and explore its significance with the Sustainable Development Framework. It will examine the target and indicators associated with SDG 16, assess to the progress made towards the implementation, identifying existing challenges and opportunity, and propose a strategy for advancing the goal. The significance of SDG 16 discussion. First point in this topic, discussion on the relationship between peace, justice, and inclusive societies with the suitable development. And second was the examples how to achieving SDG 16 contributes to other sustainable development goals. Progress and challenges. First, progress and progress and challenges is assessment of global progress towards SDG 16 targets. Second one, identification of challenges, including issues related to governance, corruption, inequality, and access to justice. Third one is the examination of regional variation in achieving Sustainable Development Goal 16. You can hear India's stance on. You can see globally 1,300 people killed by interpersonal conflicts a day. That's 9 times more than lives lost in the warfare. And in India, because I am Indian, so I have put it the India's stance. 35 million cases in courts. Here, 35 million cases are pending in courts. Over 3,38,594 crimes against women reported every year in India. 8,132 cases of human trafficking reported in 2016, and 53,900 cases registered under the Arms Act in 2016. I have the data of 2016, latest data. I have put it on this on internet. 2 lakh refugees get asylum and direct assistance in India. Strategy. What the strategy for achieving SDG 16? Policy recommendation for strengthening institution, promoting access to justice, and enhancing the rule of law. A second one, the approaches to reducing the violence, corruption, and promoting transparency. And third one is the actions to address inequalities, discrimination, and exclusion. Uh, the next point is in a partnership and implementation. Importance of multi-stakeholder partnership in advancing SDG 16, role of government, civil society, private sector, and international organization in the implementation, the best practices and the successful stories from various regions, monitoring and evaluation. Discussion on data collection, monitoring mechanism, and reporting progress on SDG 16. The second point is evaluation of existing tools and methodologies for assessing the impact of SDG 16 initiatives. Conclusion part of my paper. The first one is the recap of key findings, the recommendation, key call to action for governments, stakeholders, and individuals to prioritize SDG 16 in their development efforts, emphasizes on the interconnectedness of SDG and the need for the integrated approach. By understanding and prioritizing SDG 16, policymakers, practitioners, and stakeholders can contribute to building peaceful and inclusive society that are essential for sustainable development and the well-being individuals. And that's all from my side. These are the references which I taken from internet for preparing the paper. Thank
Wow.
you all.
Great job. That is amazing. Again, I like how you're sourcing your references, and for the students here, that's very important to show where you got your information from. Because if not, then sometimes it could be portrayed as plagiarism. So please make sure that you do source your information, whether you speak it out or you show it in your PowerPoint. Thank you so much for all of that knowledge. We're grateful for you to be here, and each day you've came up with something with a solution, and that's what we're here for, is to find these solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for listening me. Namaste.
Thank you. Our next international speaker is going to be Professor Dr. Richa Ranjan. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. A very, very warm welcome to you all to the Global Summit. And today I'm going to speak about the SDG 16. SDG 16 plays a crucial role in shaping India's approach to governance, justice, and peace. And the Indian government, along with civil society organizations, has been working towards achieving the targets set under this goal to ensure a peaceful, just, and inclusive society for all. And what SDG 16 means is it stands for Sustainable Development Goal, which is focused on promoting peace, justice, strong institution. And I'll be speaking in the context of India. It is particularly important as the country, India, our country faces various challenges related to governance, rule of law, access to justice, corruption, and mainly the violence. And we are having some key aspects of SDG 16. and it is related to Indian context. First is peace and security. India faces internal security challenges such as terrorism, communal tensions, insurgency in certain regions, and mainly the SDG 16 aims to promote peaceful and inclusive societies and calls for reducing violence in all its forms. Second is access to justice. Ensuring equal access to justice is crucial for achieving SDG 16. India's legal system faces challenges related to delays in the judicial process. And as I am from the law background, from last 30 years, it is very ticklish. And last week I attended National Lok Adalat. We are having Lok Adalats after 3 months to finish up the cases which are piled up in the courts. And there is already Dr. Piyush Raja has told about the cases, what have been piled up, he has come up with the data. And it is the main problem with us. More and more cases are piling up in the judicial process. So we face the challenges regarding the judicial process, and we are having limited legal aid services. And nowadays, in the law institutes, universities, DLSA, District Legal Service Authorities, and National Legal Service Authorities, they are all kind of connecting with everyone. They are promoting the knowledge of what is the purpose of this DLSA, and they are helping the lower community or the person who can't afford the law system. They are connecting those persons. And for this, they have attached lawyers with the colleges which are in the India. And so we are having limited legal aid services. And due to the large backlog of cases, India is facing these kinds of problems. Efforts are being made to improve access to justice, strengthen the judiciary, and expedite the resolution of cases, corruption, and transparency. And one main part is because what we can say in the judiciary, what judges can do if the lawyers, they are delaying their cases, as everyone needs money and they want that their cases should give them big amount. So this is the main issue in India. And how the access to justice can be strengthened if the lawyers himself or herself are thinking of money. And corruption is a significant issue in India. Yeah, this is the main issue which everyone faces. And it emphasized to need the reduced bribery, corruption, illicit financial flows. Measures like the Right to Information Act, digitization of government processes, and anti-corruption initiatives aims to enhance transparency and accountability. Strong institutions should be there, as SDG 16 highlights the importance of building strong institutions that are transparent, accountable, and moreover responsive. In India, efforts are being made to strengthen institutions such as police, judiciary, administrative bodies to ensure effective governance and delivery of services. And main thing which is globally what we can say accepted is human rights. SDG 16 recognized the importance of protecting human rights, promoting non-discrimination, ensuring equal access to justice for all. In India, challenges remains in areas such as gender equality, the rights of marginalized communities, and protection of freedom of expression. We do have the freedom of expression, but ifs and buts are there. And gender equality is the main issue. Earlier, we were having 2 genders, now about the 3rd gender also. India is working upon it. And it's important to note that while progress has been made in various aspects of SDG 16 in India, there is still work to be done to fully achieve the targets outlined in this goal. The government, civil society, organization, and citizens continue to work together to address the challenges and create a more peaceful, just, and inclusive society. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that needs to be heard. There's so much corruption going around the entire world. For the students listening, sometimes there's good and bad people in the world, and you have to be the person that's spreading positivity to make the right choices. So that's what you're here to do, is learn from these educators and people of all occupation so that you can be a leader in the future. Thank you so much. Our next international speaker is Ashley's Angels.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ashley's Angels. I am Ashley Schmidt. I absolutely love everyone's input, especially the part for children's education. It seems as if some parents are just dropping off their children as a daycare, and that's wrong. I agree with your presentation. Absolutely, Ambassador Estera. That was very educational. And finally, someone spoke out and made the point for pay attention to your children, pay attention what they are being educated of, what are the subjects, and stay on that child, because that is, to me, the most highest priority, because it seems that these children are listening to the wrong resource and automatically make their own decisions. But we as parents are the ones that it's important to teach them right from wrong. Look at the consequence before you make a decision. Educate, educate, educate. And I am so honored to be here. And this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for everyone's participation. And let's continue to further this global seminar. I wish it would have been 365 days instead of 17 days. That's how much I enjoyed it. And again, thank you so much for everyone being here. We are so honored that you are participating in this global seminar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And our next international speaker is Amir Ali.
Hello, my voice is audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I want to share my presentation.
Thank you so
Can I-
much. And please tell everybody where you're coming from.
Yes. This is Amir Ali Mer from Pakistan. I'm representing at the Thailand, my country. I am the Youth Peace Ambassador of Pakistan. So today our topic is SDG 16, Peace, Justice and Strong Institution. This is me, Amir Ali Mer, Youth Peace Ambassador, the detail about this. I want to start these lines, my presentation. If you want to peace, you work for the justice. What is the SDG 16? What are these? Human rights education is crucial for the building and advocacy society. Human rights education empower people to know the calm, defend their rights, and human rights education to promote participating, discussion making, and the peaceful resolution of a conflict. Human rights education to encourage empathy and non-discrimination. Why is peace, justice, strong institution important? To the government, society, and communities to need to work together to find lasting solution to the conflict and insecurity. Because if we have the know about the peace, justice, and strong institution, we government and the civil society together communicate and work for the society, our generation, our solve the every problems. If recently in 2029 in all the world have the problem is that as COVID-19, nobody can go any place. They are just waiting at the home, and they in the government and the civil society, they together one make a solution. That is a Zoom meeting. Today I am learning or teaching from this because of this cooperation of the government and civil society to communicate, to spread even virtually if any disease in everywhere, but we can speak. The role of the law and promoting human rights is the key. This is a process as reducing the flaw of the illustration, combating corruption, and ensure the increasing participation at all the time. The targets of the SDG 16. Everyone can help to make sure that we meet the global goals. Use these 12 targets to create action to promote peace, justice, and strong institution. The target number 1, reduce violence everywhere. Even everywhere have the violence, and mostly I saw in Asia countries have sometimes is the violence, and we together work for justice, peace, and strong institution. Even sometimes is a violence about in the gender, sometimes violence about in the country, sometimes a violence about the religion. So we must be make a strong institution. Is second target is protect children from abuse, exploitation, and trafficking and violence. And abuse, exploitation, traffic, and all form of the violence against and the torture of the children. In many society, there are the poor students or poor children cannot be take education. They are going to the labors. Like even they don't know about the country, they don't know about the religion. They just only work for their food. They just work and eat the food. But sometimes in many areas, they like a high people in upper class children have taken education in a high level, but middle class sometimes cannot. So this is the justice, we can equal education and promote the rules of the law and ensure the equal access to the justice. In this, we promote that we are equal. In even no one is a king, no one in prime minister, no one can, because law is equal. If they will give us any problem or any justice is the same for the poor, for lower, middle, and upper class. This is the equal. And combat organization crime and illicit financial and arms flow. By 2030, significantly reduce illicit financial arms flow, strain the recover and the return of the stones, assist to combat all the form of the organized crime. Is a sustainability reduce a corruption and bribery. This as the main things. This is the main things we can. There are many type of the corruption, and people thinking there is corruption on the money. No, is a corruption is the favor. Corruption is the support. Corruption in our class, in our home, in our society, in our religion. These are the corruption. People sometimes this, but this is we also the same. Develop effective, accountable, and the transparent institutions. develop effective, accountable, and transparent institution at all levels. This we make a strong institution to the work for all the people to make there is if something is wrong, these institutions are take and like in recently in 2019 is a COVID, but we have a strong institution. They recover in within 1 year because this is a big disease. If we cannot recover, we still face this problem because of this strong institution. Ensure response inclusive and a represent discussion making. If something have the problem, if something in society, in country, in everywhere, we together solve the problem and together discussion and the solve. Strengthen the participation in global governance, boarding and strengthen the participation in development countries in institution of the global governance. Our country to promote in nationally and internationally in everywhere. It's the last one is the provide universal legal identity. By 2020-30, provide legal identity for all, include the birth religion, registration. There are many people in all the world. I cannot say that we are perfect, but we need to work for the peace, justice, for strong institutions. I am very thankful for these my mentors who teach me, who guide me. Today I am here from Pakistan to the Thailand because of these are my mentors. In my village, I am the first one who have the laptop. I am the one first who go to the university because of they given to me the justice, peace, and this. Today I am here because of these my mentors. Thank you so much, Ma'am Taina Jones and everyone. Thank you. And my presentation is in.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We enjoyed that very much. You did a wonderful job. We have another international speaker. It's Taran Tawari. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Sister Tiana Dana Jones. Before I introduce myself, I would like to tell something about this great lady. Friends, as you know, if we do not work for individual transformation, talking about the peace, just about peace, it is just entertainment. And now here, not only me, you all can see the transformation, the change maker from USA, our beloved sister Calify Tiana Jones. She is an example of a true empowered woman, and I can see I'm very happy to share here on this platform that she lived everyone, and I am one of the beneficiary of Tiana Jones. I get benefit. Before 1 year I was not an author, and now my two book, by grace of God and by grace of our beloved sister Tiana Dana Jones, Women, Peace, Purpose, and one on SDG is published, and we are getting overwhelming response from all over the world. So here I want to tell, as we are talking about SDG 16. Yes, you can see the picture with with the great lady. She is holding the book, and I'm so fortunate that I got opportunity to attend this 16th day of this great summit. As we are talking about peace, justice, and strong institution. So, as per my knowledge, the the 5 major social institutions in everywhere, in every society. And what are the institutions? One is the family, second is state or government, education, and religion. These 5 type of major institutions are, everywhere, and we have to take care of this because we are living in, in one world, but there are many, many changes, many different, many locality, many language, many religion. There are many different, but we are living on the same planet. We are using two common resources, air and water. So, if we talk about this goal, before I come to this point, as few new people here, I just want to introduce myself to those new change maker. That I'm Tarun Tiwari. I'm from India, and I'm a philanthropist by nature and activity in rural India. As a service activities, I supported few women empowerment activities, safety and hygiene projects, some bridging programs, some Ayurvedic supplement awareness campaign in India and abroad. Apart from this, I am providing services in versatile sector, mainly with the legal and chartered accountant, government policies, and assignment execution, task execution, corporate NGO, charitable trust related work. My specialization is, fundraising, implementation, guidance service for NGOs and companies. It helps companies to increase their effectiveness and productivity in their program in India and abroad. As we are talking about peace it come later fulfilling basic need and financial worries. Financial well-being is the foundation of health and justice because injustice and inequality is the byproduct of poverty. Charity is secondary, but self-help is primary. So fund and finance are the source for the revenue and the lifeline. So this time we have to, in this, not only this peace summit, as Sister Tiana doing, many other great people are doing this kind of activities, and I strongly believe, and I have solution with me. If Sister Tiana allow me for 5 minutes, I want to tell about the solution. Thank you. In this World Peace Summit, we have solution within us. I request you all, respected dignitaries, to support me to open one financial institution, WPS Bank. It will be this is kind of app and organization to support needy people to start their profession, business, etc. for livelihood, bread and butter, and humanitarian activities. If you allow me to support to initiate the task, I'm sure we can, we shall start soon. NBFC, non-banking financial corporation in India, and yes, it is possible if our member contribute only for example, $1,000, we can start in 90 days and we can work in, globally. If you allow me to introduce the app for the banking like PhonePe, Paytm, digital platform, our supporter in India can contribute for the peace spreading campaign just simply using our app. So time has given success. We heard the story by time to time. You all heard about the Rolex, that the big watch brand. Rolex is owned by a private trust, and in 2023, this year, the revenue is 13 billion. So we shall introduce the concept, message oriented merchandise, selling online, e-commerce, and made from world-class quality to international trend NGO teams and self-help group, and our WPS World Peace Summit member, you all change maker. We can get support from public NGOs and like-minded people from all the continentals. They can buy our membership, green bond, share in NBFC. They can do fixed deposit. We can expand WPS Bank in all other countries for humanity and support livelihood for needy people. People earn money and do charity for get rid of guilt and unfair trade and business ethics. We do little bit for not feeling guilty. So when we are helpless financially to support millions of people for their livelihood, so we can start sponsored program on education and training, how to get better livelihood, job, profession, and business, and they can get better life than today. Our bank can do CSR activity and sponsor program where free education, information, guidance, and support we can provide. And we are a global community. We can help each other in every sector aspect and every aspects of life. We can create WPS like World Peace Summit, tourism home, hostel, community center, etc. to connect globe, to feel universal as a home, as we are a family. And this time is think like one world, not one nation. For connecting all and every country required initial things, community support and basic arrangement. For all good reason and vision, please support me by, raising permission to raise fund, by banking institution to help needy people for their livelihood. We definitely get better satisfaction after 1 year, and all our price shall increase every year in terms of number and countries. Together we shall start it for better tomorrow. We must spread it, and that's it. Let's do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your kind words and sharing the information with everybody. The next international speaker is going to be Nicholas Cavazzi.
Nicholas Hautasi. It's all right.
Yes, sorry.
I
I'm from the
understand it's
United-
not an easy
Yeah.
sound made for foreigners.
Yes, thank you.
Good day. I won't specify the time. Apparently, we have here people here in the morning, evening, midnight, all over the world. Let me quickly open up the presentation. I haven't done this before. I'm not sure how to. Please give me a moment. Can you see the presentation right now?
No, we can't.
No?
You just click on share screen in the middle
I
of the, okay.
Yes, it's just a moment. For some reason, I can't go back into Zoom. Oh God. Okay, I figured it out. It's forcing me to log back in. Please excuse the delay. Okay, I think you should be able to see my screen now. Could anyone confirm?
We see only that it writes log now. Now you can click now. Yes, we see it. just put a full screen. Great,
There you go.
wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay. Everybody can see, yes?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
yes.
see you. Yes.
All right. Very well. Right now, the world is experiencing the most amount of conflict since the end of the Second World War. The combined populations of Russia, Ukraine, Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, North Korea, and several other countries caught in some form of conflict comes out to nearly 2 billion people. Following the start of the Russo-Ukrainian War, a record-breaking 100 million were forced out of their homes. Worldwide military spending has been consistently growing for the last 25 years, and it's now up to 2.2 trillion American dollars years at it. For comparison, in the worst case scenario, it would take 250 billion a year to stop world hunger. That's more than 8 times what is spent on military. These are a few of the main reasons why one of UN's Sustainable Development Goals is to, quote, promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Now, obviously, we can't have world peace while the Russo-Ukrainian war is going on. Iran is having a revolution, and tensions are the West and China, for example. But after we move past those obvious issues, there is another matter to attend to. World peace can't exist in a world with inner conflicts or societal issues like racism, sexism, disproportional wealth distribution, and rapidly declining natural resources. All these problems are listed separately in the 17 goals. And just as this goal is impossible to reach without reaching the other ones, this is also true vice versa. I can't imagine a world where, say, wealth equality or sexism is eliminated without first reaching some sort of world peace in some amount. So far, I've only touched on more global issues, but goal 16 of the 17 goals aims to build effective, accountable, and inclusive justice institutions on all levels. This includes your local police department, court, prison, as well as nearby private businesses. And according to the UN, 1 in 6 of them have been offered a bribe by a public official. Unfortunately, we don't know how many of them accepted, because it's like knowing how many people are getting away with murder. So I've written it, offered bribes and declined, because nobody wanted to admit if they accepted it or not. There is also a heavy emphasis on protecting children from violence, trafficking, and exploitation, which, if you ask me, is a somewhat reasonable goal to aim for. Now, we know what the problems are. How do we solve them? Of all the targets that are listed for goal 16, the sub-targets, the very first to aim for, in my opinion, should be to reduce corruption. Because there are people who benefit greatly from child exploitation, war profiteering, controlling politicians and judges, and they do not appreciate the UN trying to take their power away. This one sub-goal is at the root of injustice around the world, and at times a cause for new conflicts to emerge. Once this target is reached, it will only be a matter of time till the other 11 sub-goals and 16 main goals are reached as well. It is a fact that in less corrupt countries, average intelligence is higher, scores, and obviously corrupt governments discourage education, and simultaneously less educated countries become corrupt easier. We of course get even less education, which is followed by even more corruption. The opposite happens in less corrupt and more educated countries, of course. And we get these cycles of either prosperity or ruin. Now, having the UN get involved in the matters of developing nations, which are not in a good position right now, helps stop this cycle of ruin, and charity-funded or foreign government-funded schools and educational resources help these countries get back on their feet and start prospering. This, of course, directly ties into goal 4, quality education. But of course, simply being educated won't be enough. If you want to fight a government, you need help, because there won't be anything to stop you from being executed or having your rights violated by a local mob. Which is why Goal 16 focuses on making sure all people have access to justice. Now, the first step taken by the UN is to make sure every person has some sort of legal identity, so that the legal system, the local legal system, can better protect them. Actually, 1 in 4 people around the world don't have any type of identification. That's 2 billion people, if we do the math. The next step after that is to promote the rule of law and make sure no one is left unjustified and no one is punished wrongfully. UN accomplishes this with the cooperation of the local government or military intervention to coax the local government to cooperate. They have done so in Côte d'Ivoire. That's a French word. It means Ivory Coast, for those of you wondering. It's a country in Africa. They have also done this there, and they actually achieved such a level of success that peacekeepers actually had to pull out from the country because they finished their job. I'm sure the UN would have made substantial progress towards Goal 16 in the following years. By 2030, I'm sure a few of the sub-goals at least should be checked off the list. This concludes my presentation about Goal 16 of the 17 development goals. I know it was a bit shorter than other people's presentations, but I hope you can forgive me.
You did fine.
Talking slowly.
You did absolutely fine. That was fantastic. That was a great presentation.
Now.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions.
Wonderful presentation.
I'm very impressed. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
How do you think that these organizations can implement the plan that was similar to what they did in Africa? How do you think that they could follow that implementation, like that lead?
In Côte d'Ivoire, the situation in 2004 was that the country was divided because of a civil war. And where there is war, you can, send aid, in military aid, which the UN did. You would have definitely seen photos of the UN peacekeepers, the blue hats and tanks and European equipment, which, makes it much easier for them to decide how the war will go. Now, in countries, for example, in Georgia, there is a sort of war, but the war is with Russia, and the UN, can't really do much about Russia, so they won't be effective in all countries. But in less developed countries where UN is above everybody there, they can decide the future of those countries and hopefully bring a better future than what would be without them. That's through education and all of the 17 development goals, most of them at least. Somebody did show.
Do you think that private sectors would have more of an advantage than the United Nations at this point?
Private sectors like I can't really think of Red Cross.
No.
Charity organizations. Or do you mean like Elon Musk offering to donate money for world hunger?
Organizations that are private sectors that have financial institution that can come together to find a solution for the SDGs. So they would have to be investors, people with money that are individuals and organizations that they created and companies they created. Like myself, I'm a private sector. I'm a publishing company owner in the United States. Do you think that private sectors should unite with other private sectors to find some financial establishment that will go to these countries and act upon approval?
Well, of course, any type of help would be appreciated. There already exist organizations which can deliver the money you donate to them at a great efficiency to the countries we need. So even if financial private businesses in America, Europe, elsewhere in the world can make the money and donate it, that would definitely be of great help.
Well, thank you so much. You did a wonderful job, and you will be getting a certificate for your PowerPoint and also for joining today. Look in your email 5 minutes after we end, and your certificate is already completed. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Same for you. Thanks.
Our next international speaker is Maya Jasbajli. Welcome.
Muted.
We can't hear you, ma'am.
Excuse me, Dr. Tiana, I wrote to you. I'm a listener today, not a speaker.
Oh, okay. We love hearing from you. That's why I called you, because I was excited to hear from you, because you're so loving and you have so much light. Thank you so much for joining.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
Our next international speaker is Caleb Timlin Samuel. Welcome.
Good evening, leaders. Good evening from here, distinguished guests. Thank you very much for calling upon me today to make my speech on the UN SDG Goal 16 of peace, justice, and strong institution. I must make us understand that whenever we are talking about peace and whenever we are talking about justice, they are the same thing. We can pick peace and we can pick justice to beat the different end of the same snake. Which other side you grab is still the same snake that you grab. So we can say peace and justice are the same thing. The world today has not been really done enough when it comes to ensuring justice and also instilling peace all around. But are we sure we are making the right process? Are we sure we are going towards the right channel? Well, as posited by the words of Martin Luther King, he said, peace is not the absence of tension, but it is the presence of justice. Are we sure we are instilling justice so that there can be peace? Are we sure that we are putting in the right institutions to make sure that the world all enjoy peace? Because the only way we can enjoy peace is if there is justice. Ongoing new violent conflict around the world are derailing a global path to peace and achievement of the SDG 16. 1/4 of humanity lives in conflict-affected areas, and as of May 2022, a record of 100 million people had been forcibly displaced worldwide, more than double the number of a decade ago. Citizens also face challenges accessing justice, basic services, and legal guarantees, and are generally underrepresented due to ineffective institutions. Moreover, structural injustices, inequalities, and emerging human rights challenges are putting peaceful and inclusive societies further out of reach. So in order to meet these UN SDG goals, there is needed to be action to restore trust and to strengthen the capacity of institutions. It is very important that we strengthen the capacity of institutions to secure justice for all and facilitate transitions to drive sustainable development. When we look at every nation, most particularly most nations in Africa, there are high rate of injustice happening there. There are a series of wars, there are a series of military coups taking place. Recently, the government of Burkina Faso has as the government, I mean, the democratic system of government has been toppled by military system of government. What are the reasons for all these wars? What are the reasons? Are we doing the right thing that we are supposed to do? Are we not doing the right thing that we're supposed to do? If you're not doing the right thing that we are supposed to do, what are the things we need to put in place to make sure that we all enjoy justice and we all enjoy peace? I must tell us today that peace is a symbol of light. And of course, it is not a symbol of darkness. So we hear every other nations today are not trying to instill peace, then definitely there's something they are not doing which is not right. So I would like to take us back to some statistics from the United Nations to see how far we've been able to progress. In 2022, the United Nations recorded 16,988 killings of civilians in armed conflicts, a 53% increase compared to 2021, and the first increase since the adoption of the 2030 agenda of the UN SDG goal. 4 out of 10 deaths occurred in Ukraine, and in 5 was a woman. The proportion of deaths by heavy weapons and explosive munitions increased significantly from 13% in 2020 and 39% in 2022. In contrast to the steady decline over the previous 5 years, I must tell us today that nations of the world now are now quick to buy ammunition, maybe based on some political reasons. They are now quick to buy ammunition that is still injustice that we want. Okay, are they trying to tell us that the best thing to do is to go to war? Then definitely the world should go to war. There will be a lot of inequalities all around. But I believe by now, the world should have learned from the World War I and the World War II that has happened. There are a lot of death, a lot of hardship, a lot of poverty, which has greatly affected even our children and also our women. And this has not even made us to understand that going into war and buying ammunition are not the way to go, but to make sure that we ensure strong institutions. Are these institutions doing the right thing to make sure that there are peace all around the world? That should be the questions. Okay, the purpose of instilling all these institutions, are they doing it appropriately the way it should go? Unfortunately, there have been some level of hypocrisy in instilling justice. Most developed nations now are now trying as much as possible to make sure that they oppress least developed nations, maybe as a result of economic oppression, or maybe as a result of natural resources. But is it something that is of God? Is it something that we should all indulge into? No, that is not the way to go. So I would like us also to pick up one more statistic. In 2020, the number of trafficking victims detected worldwide fell for the first time in 20 years as COVID-19 prevented measures changed the dynamics of exploitation while compromising anti-trafficking responses. As more victims are likely to remain undetected, increasing efforts are needed to tailor responses to the real prevalence of the crime. There are high rates of human trafficking all around the world, and I must say it is mostly prevalent here in Africa, human trafficking. At the time of war, we must also understand that during the time of war, there are great human rights violations happening due to sex slavery, when we talk about child labor, when we talk about human trafficking, and when we even talk about recruiting children and giving them arms to fight war. This is not a way to go. This is not a way to go at all. So for the period of 2014 to 2021, only 55 countries, mostly low and middle income, have internationally comparable data on sexual violence in childhood against girls, and only 12 have produced such data for boys. Across regions with representative estimates, the prevalence of sexual violence in childhood by age 18 among young women aged 18 to 29 years ranges from 1% in Central and Southern Asia to 7% in Oceania, excluding Australia and New Zealand. So when we talk about low-income countries and middle-income countries, we can also fit in the countries also in Africa. So they've not been able to make sure that they get rid of violence against girls. And it is so unfortunate that in this 21st century, we have not been able to overcome that problem. So it means that the institution being established in that particular country they are being compromised. It means they are not doing the job that which is expected of them to instill justice and to make sure that we all have an egalitarian society. The reality of the matter is that when we claim we practice democracy and we are not dispensing the justice that we ought to dispense, then that is not democracy again. So because I believe, as much as I know, that democratic system of government should ensure equality. Democratic system of government should come about justice. Democratic system of government should bring peace. It should not bring war. And which is also the motive of the UNSDG goals. And I believe that the UNSDG goal is here to make sure that we all live in an environment that is equal for everybody. We all live in an environment, not an environment of war, but an environment of peace. An environment that will bring in justice and not an environment that will bring in injustice. So while tracing in 2021, the global prison population was 11.2 million, remaining relatively stable between 2015 and 2021, except for a temporary decline between 2019 and 2020. Some 3.4 million of all prisoners are unsentenced detainees, and their share among all prisoners has remained at around 30% between 2015 and 2021, and fall from the target of equal justice, equal access to justice for all. So while tracing is a key measure in the process of investigating and disclosing the origins of illicit firearms, its systematic implementation remains a global challenge. On average, member states with available data successfully traced 1/3 of seized weapons that are potentially traceable between 2016 and 2021. So we must, when we talk about the UNSDG Goal 16, we cannot also we cannot also turn blind eye when we talk about prisoners' rights. Of course, we always understand that when we talk about prisoners, okay, yes, they have committed crimes, they have been behind bars, but at the same time also, they also have some level of rights. I must tell us today that on the continent of Africa, so many prisoners have been there in prison, they have spent years in prison, and at the same time, there have not been access to justice for them. Even if at all crimes are committed, okay, have they been taken to the court of law to make sure that they get justice? Have they done necessary investigations to make sure that this prisoner is guilty or not guilty? So many processes here in Africa, and I must say, sincerely speaking, that a lot of prisoners are in prison, and as a matter of fact, without being taken to court, are given life imprisonment. So many of them spend the rest of their life behind bars, even without getting justice, even without going through normal investigation processes. So globally, approximately 1 in 7, 15% businesses face requests for bribe payments by public officials based on establishment level data from 154 countries surveyed during 2016 to 2026. So multiple crises undermine budget credibility across all regions. The average budget deviations compared to the approved budget decreased from 5 to 10% in 2015 to the target of less than 5% in 2018. However, budget credibility deteriorated and reached a deviation of almost 10% for some regions in 2020 and 2021. So we must say here that a whole lot of bribery are being taken place. I must say that government officials are the ones that, most importantly, they wrongfully convict people just to collect bribe from them. And when they refuse to pay out those bribes, I must say these people are forcefully taken and being detained in prison. These are gross serious human rights violations that we are talking about. Then we can also talk about activists, and we can also talk about advocates. Like yesterday when I was talking about this fossil fuel plant, that at the point of demarcation of this, for the erection of this fossil fuel plant, it destroys vast areas, acres of land. And when people in that community comes out to protest against environmental degradation and destruction, these people have been maltreated. These people have been detained and put behind bars without even getting justice. So all of these things are what is very, very prevalent here, particularly in among countries here in Africa. So if we are to move forward, then if we are to attain the UN SDG goal 16 of equal access of peace, justice, and strong institution, are we sure we are putting the right institution in place to make sure that people get access? This access to justice should not be only limited, should not be only be available for the people that are wealthy. It should also have, the poor people should also have access to all this justice. When the institutions that are meant to dispense justice are not dispensing justice, are we sure we can meet up with this pace of 2030 agenda? Are we sure we can end all various human rights violations that have been going on in the world now? Governments today now are engaging in corruption. The money that are meant for the masses are not being made to establish social services for the poor people to enjoy. That is not justice. And I must say, the nations of this world that are crippling in corruption today are nations that are practicing democracy. Are they really practicing this democracy to the fullest? Because I believe, as much as I know, that democracy should ensure equal participation and equal representation of everyone, regardless of gender and regardless of social status. Are we sure we are on the right track to make sure that we meet this? So in order for us to have the headway to make sure that we meet this UN SDG goal 16, we must make sure that there's transparency among these institutions. When there's no transparency among these institutions, injustice will be the order of the day. And also that we must facilitate this transition to drive sustainable development. We must facilitate it. It is a joint effort for everyone to make sure that we all enjoy a life of justice. And where justice is prevailed, peace definitely will also prevail. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. And we all need justice and we all need knowledge to get that justice. And again, it's wrong that they're being, imprisoned and they're not giving fair justice in Africa. But this also happens in the United States and all over the world. So we do need to have more institutions that are coming together for the right reasons that can help the people and be for the people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next international guest speaker is Ambassador Safal Dungana. Welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am Ambassador Safal Dungana from Nepal. Today, I will be talking about the Sustainable Development Goal 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institution. The threats of international homicide, violence against the children, human trafficking, and sexual violence are important to address to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. They pave the way for the provision of access to justice for all and for building effective, accountable institutions at all levels. While homicide and trafficking cases have seen significant progress over the past decade, there are still thousands of people at greater risk of intentional murder within Latin America and around the world. Children's rights violation through aggression and sexual violence continue to plague many countries around the world, especially as under-reporting and lack of data aggravate the problems. To tackle these challenges and build a more peaceful, inclusive societies, there need to be more efficient and transparent regulation put in place and comprehensive, realistic government budgets. One of the first steps toward protecting individual rights is to implementation of worldwide birth registration and the creation of more independent national human rights institutions around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for staying with us. I know you're in Nepal and the hours are completely different and it's very, very late there, early in the morning. Thank you again for being patient, listening to all the speakers. And yes, things do need to be set in place for some justice to be served for the women and children that are being trafficked, and it's happening all over the world and we're tired of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our next international speaker is from the United States, Danelle Boyles. Welcome.
Yes, hi, good morning, evening, afternoon to everyone. Hello, Tiana. Thank you as always for the privilege and pleasure of joining you on this wonderful opportunity. Welcome to day 16 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Today's topic, peace, justice, and strong institutions. We're all here for the same thing, to bring awareness and help implement solutions to help the development and structure of the SDGs. All of these factors are needed to move society into much needed change. We are, as a global community, requiring and implementing all of these very important parts to achieve a successful functioning society. Part of this requires each individual to take a look at their own involvement and personal and community efforts to better utilize the function of the SDGs and making it a sustainable, successful way of life. Self-awareness and conscious growth. Excuse me, I'm still having issues with my throat. Forgive me for my issues with speaking. Self-awareness and conscious growth, the Maharishi effect, the practice of transcendental meditation to center and promote inner peace. By having only 1% of the population instituting these practices, it decreases crime and violence. The effect of this practice was noticed as early as 1974 and it had publications on it in 1976. Peace, being able to help move together, to be able to work together regardless of background, religion, sexual orientation, race. All of this is a peaceful dream that we have been striving for generations. Bringing a better quality of life for yourself by reducing stress and increasing joy and happiness. Finding a better balance within and without, practicing peace and the ability to uphold inner and outer peace promotes the effect of mirroring. When you practice peace and engage in peace, it involves a movement in a way that vibrationally and energetically reflects and mirrors throughout the collective like a ripple effect. Justice, utilizing the legal and legislative processes to more beneficially support the goals of SDG, holding people accountable for their actions and implementing regulations to uphold consequences to those that don't follow through, opposed to just expecting people to be committed by choice by being good upstanding citizens. Find those that do not follow the implemented regulations. And strong institutions. For me, when I say this to myself, I think of different variances of how it's referenced to. Personal conviction and collective convictions, meaning creating strong purposes and internal dialogue to uphold strong institutional core values, committing yourself to making not only a better you, but a better environment emotionally and physically for yourself and those around you. Doing this creates a strong bond between your core values and what you expect from yourself consciously, and to support the sustainable life that you want to have and you want to see around you. This will reflect in so many ways, beginning with family. When you instill strong core values in your family, it will reflect in many places. With that all said, how do you implement these actions in your daily life? By bringing these into more balance within and around you, you create a more sustainable, lasting ability to uphold the core values necessary to carry out all of the SDGs. This also falls into the category of climate action that we've most recently discussed. Our action in these measures assures that we will be in forward propelled movement of improvement of all the SDG goals. It comes down to personal choice and encouraging those around you to always make better choices by example. So, thank you very much. I feel like today hits many important notes. And again, I wish I can express myself better because I don't like to stutter when I'm speaking important things. And
You did wonderful. You sounded wonderful. I'm sorry. I don't know what you saw, but you are wonderful. Thank
I'm
you.
dealt with allergy, sinus, and throat issues for weeks now, and it's making me very gravelly sounding. But I appreciate. I feel like all of this is so very important, and it comes down to inner self. Inner self. As many people that can grasp that concept of inner self and the self-reflection, when you have that going on and you are balanced where you need to be, it has an immensible impact to everything around you. And it all starts in the home, in the schools, in the youth, and then it radiates out from there. I've worked with the youth for 20 years, and when you see the changes happening from their young generations, and then it expands. It's not always, it starts with the older generations, but in truthfulness, it starts with the younger generations, because then it radiates out then to their peers. And it's such a huge effect. The Marian effect is incredible. But thank you very much for allowing me to be part of the symposium today, and everyone have a very, very blessed day. Thank you, Tiana.
Thank you so much.
Our next international speaker is Priyanka Benjuri. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Priyanka Banerjee from Kolkata, India. Well, today I would like to talk about peace, justice, and strong institutions. First of all, I would like to say that I'm a writer and an academician. So I try to understand everything related to this issue from the perspective of a philosopher and a writer. But at the same time, I'm well aware of the real facts of this real world. Today, I would like to talk about this topic from the perspective of an India, that is, my country, Bharat, India. Peace, that is Shanti. I'm translating it into Sanskrit. The very word, the peace, means Shanti. In India, there are certain ancient texts, I must say texts, they are not religious texts, like Upanishads, which propagate the very concept of peace that is absolutely based on a secular idea. That is, peace is related to the awareness of divine consciousness. But at present in India, as well as in other countries, what are we seeing? That it is because of religious diversities that people are fighting against each other. People are murdering other people. People are, reluctant to listen to the voice of other people. Why? They belong to another religion, another race, another caste. So whenever we discuss about peace and justice, we have to think about the very root, the very source of, restlessness, or the very source that is the cause of lack of peace. So we all are human beings. That is, a grand narrative. We have to put faith in the grand narrative first. And then automatically or spontaneously, the idea is generated that if we all come from the same God, then why so much of unrest, between Hindus and Muslims, so much of unrest between India and Pakistan, so much of unrest between Ukraine and Russia, so much of unrest in Sri Lanka, so much of unrest between Bangladeshi Muslims and Indian Hindus. Why? So that is one point that should be kept in mind from the, that whenever we're talking about peace, whenever we are talking about religious issues, whenever we are talking about, disturbances, restlessness, lack of tranquility, whenever we are talking about racial issues, gender discrimination, we have to develop the very idea that we all belong to that cosmos which belongs to one God. And there is not two gods. There are no two gods. So that is the concept. That is the concept of humanism. That is the concept of deep spiritual consciousness, which definitely help us to destroy the barrier that exists between two different races or between two different countries. Next point, being a democratic country, that is India, we find that here are so many, political parties, so many regional parties are working together. That is a very, very tough job, so many states are here. So the people of Nagaland are different from those people of Manipur. People of West Bengal, they have a different type of, culture. And whenever we are crossing the border of West Bengal and entering into Orissa, there we find another, set of cultural beliefs. So it is a very difficult task to, build up, a harmonious relationship among the people of so many different states of India. But how are we doing it? We are not only doing it by implementing rigid laws, but we are doing it by propagating the message of universal love, by instilling the sense of nationalism into the minds of people, of so many people, tribes, Christians, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Jains. We all are living together. We all are contributing to the development of our society. And if we focus on the northeast region of India, so I'm just giving you a data. So this is something that we must always think about. The northeast region of India is a very, very disturbed region, So it comprises of 8 states: Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, and Tripura, each with its own distinct history and identity. The region shares its borders with Bhutan, China, Myanmar, and Bangladesh, and has been one of the most sensitive regions in India. Since 1947, the history of this region has been marred with insurgency and underdevelopment. Our central government, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, has been making continuous efforts to end insurgency and violence in the region. The central government has identified 3 core objectives for the Northeast region: to preserve its dialects, languages, dance, music, food, and culture, and to create attraction for it all across India. Now you see, so this is something that we are doing in India. We are trying to preserve the cultural, heritage of one particular race that exists in one particular state, though it is an integral part of the entire nation. So Bengalis are respecting the culture of, Orias. Orias are respecting the culture of Nagas. Nagas are respecting the culture of South Indian. So our government encourages us to do that, to make the Northeast a developed region and bring it on par with the rest of India. Long pending disputes between various states in the Northeast had been a major concern in the development of the region. During the 1960s, the Bodos and other tribes of Assam called for separate state of Udayachal. In late 1980s, there was another demand for a separate state for Bodos, Bodoland, and for Assam to be divided 50-50. As a result of this continuous demands, there had been widespread incidents of violence over the years. To resolve the 5-decade-old Bodo issue in Assam, the Bodo Accord was signed on January 27, 2020, resulting in the surrender of 15 cadres with a huge cache of arms and ammunition at Guwahati. And we all know that recently Kashmir has, it has become an integral part of India. And we all are developing towards, that state of existence that will instill the, instill peace into the minds of each and every Indian. It doesn't matter whether he is a Kashmiri Muslim or a Bengali Muslim or a Bangladeshi Muslim. It doesn't matter whether I'm a Hindu or a Christian, but so many religious groups, so many, racial groups, we all are living together in one country under the, respecting one great, grand narrative, that is, what did I say? That is democracy. India is a democratic country. And when we are respecting our democratic government, we are respecting each and every human being who is an Indian. Second point is border issues. Okay, so India has sensitive border issues, not only with Pakistan, but also with China, right? And also with Bangladesh. So regarding that issue, I would like to point out some basic facts that will also help us to understand how India is, trying her best to resolve all these disputes and propagate the very ideology of peace. And please remember that our Indian religion, our Indian culture is based on the ideology of peace. If we go back, if we start reading our ancient texts like Upanishads, we read that very mantra of peace. Tamaso ma jyotir gamayo, asato ma sad gamayo. So our very ancient sages, since when our civilization was not developed, even then they propagated the idea of peace, and they, had written that mantra, Tamaso ma jyotir gamayo, from the era of darkness. Oh God, no God, that is divine consciousness. Whenever we start talking about one particular God, there will be, discriminations, there will be racial prejudices, there will be injustices, murders, brutality, homicide, genocide, everything. So our Indian religion is based on the concept of divine consciousness, which doesn't allow anyone to make him or her feel different from others. So peace is within us. Peace is deeply rooted in our land. So whenever we are talking about, the border issues, I would like to point out a few things. On December 9, 2022, hundreds of Indian and Chinese forces clashed along the line of actual control. The roughly 2,100 miles contested boundary that separates northern India from China. Neither side used firearms and no deaths were reported, but both Indian and Chinese forces sustained injuries. The skirmish was the worst since the summer of 2020, when deadly fighting in the Galwan Valley led to the most significant border escalation in over 4 decades. In the wake of these 2020 clashes, India and China held 17 rounds of military talks, but have been unable to reach terms for disengagement across key areas of dispute border. After this latest incident, Chinese and Indian military commanders met again to defuse any risk of further escalation. And in a parliamentary briefing, Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh claimed the incident began when Chinese troops crossed the LAC in the Tawang sector to unilaterally change the status quo. Chinese sources disputed that characterization of events, but claimed the situation on the border was under control. So in India, each and every moment, there are so many tensions going on within the country as well as in the border areas. But our government is always trying to, maintain peace and harmony. And that is something that will be implemented not only in one country, but globally. This war that is going on between Ukraine and Russia is ruining us, shattering us. It is not only affecting Ukrainians. Being a writer, being an academician, I had, written poems, and those poems were published in so many anthologies. So writers from different parts of the world have come up with their ideas, which are their weapons. We don't have drones, my dear friends, my dear sisters, my dear brothers who are here from all the different parts of the world, and you all are excellent speakers. And we don't have drones. We don't have, machine guns. We have words. We have our love. We have our poems. And we, the people of literature, we have our novels. We have our dramas. And by the power of words, we try our best. We are still trying our best to save all those war-affected people. We want this war to come to an end, right? And the third one is related to gender issues. I would like to say that in India, we, the women, are still very much unsafe. And that is the condition not only in India, but also in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, and in other parts of the world. So finally, I would like to say thank you, Tiana Jones, for inviting me and for giving me such a wonderful, fabulous space to, speak about this wonderful topic that you have chosen for this day. So I must say that peace, justice, strong institutions, this is a very, very broad issue. And this is not only related to one country, this is not only related to two countries, but this is, a universal matter. And we have to think about gender discrimination. We have to thinking about border issues. We have to think about our environmental pollution, Anthropocene. We have to think about this present, condition of the Earth planet that is deteriorating so much so. That is also very much like terrorism. Nature has been turned into a, terrorist. Why? So we have to think about the root. We have to think about the very source of problem. Peace. We want peace in nature also. We want peace within our mind also. And for that, dharma or religion should be understood properly. We want peace in the political sector also. We want peace in the borders also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much and take care. And we appreciate your time here. So we're wrapping up the summit, and we had all of the guest speakers speak from international nations all over the world. And today is very important because peace is withholding your inner spiritual connection to the environment, to the planet, to yourself, to your mental health. So remember that all people can have peace and justice, but they have to be honest with integrity and value and standard for what they do by controlling their thoughts and emotions to overcome all life circumstances. Remember, peace is within you. And while you learn how to have peace with your inner self, that's when you can adjust to your accountability to have peace with other people. We can't control other people, but we control ourselves to know that we deserve peace, love, and light. Thank you guys, and until next time, God bless and take care.